all the unique characters.
I do let him bang. Yeah, I'm a legend, man. I'm building my legs.
All the stories and perspectives featured weekly.
I wasn't fully committed to that choke, and I kind of sunk into it, started squeezing tighter, and I kind of heard him gurgle a little bit. I was like, oh.
And all the combat sports you could ask for in the best state in the U.S.
Like I said, Ohio versus the world. It's going to happen for sure. Watch out.
It'll be cool, man. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to show them why the Ohio MMA scene is, in my opinion, one of the best MMA scenes in the country.
This is Forged in OH.
IO.
OH.
IO.
OH.
IO.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 102 of Forged in Ohio. My name is Jake Murren, and I'm the host of the podcast. I've had plenty of returning guests on the show in the history of Forged in Ohio. It's usually when a fighter has made a lot of progress in their career, and it's time to get them back on and to talk all about it. That's exactly what we're doing with this episode, as a ton has happened in the life of today's guest since he initially joined the show on episode 73 in April. He was one half of an absolutely insane fight. He won a fight by first round knockout, and now he's prepared to make his pro debut before the end of the year. It's the most must-see fighter in Ohio MMA, Undead, Jeremy Riley. Thanks for coming on the show for the second time now, Jeremy, and welcome to Forged in Ohio.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. It's always a pleasure to be joined by who, again, I call the most must-see fighter in Ohio mixed martial arts. And let's kind of go in chronological order from the last time you were on the show, which was before your fight against RJ Harris. What comes to mind when you think back to what was an incredible fight at Cage Thunder 27?
RJ was a hard-ass hitter. It's the first thing that comes to mind. Like, I would love to get a rematch as a pro, but probably for like a title fight, because after that fight, I was definitely not myself for a couple of days because I was definitely concussed. But looking back on it, I mean, might have lost, but fight of the year, so have some sort of moral victory there.
Is that the first time you've really felt that way after a fight? Just that RJ Harris power made you feel concussed and kind of out of sorts for a few days?
I thought I was fine, but like, if people who know me know I'm pretty goofy. I act not like a normal person. But for like 2 days afterwards, I was kind of just quiet, nonchalant. People would ask me if I was okay. I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And then Tuesday, all of a sudden, I just became myself again. Like, damn, I was definitely concussed for 2 days, because he was definitely. You can see, if you watch the fight, you'll see when he punches me, I definitely react a lot more than I normally do. So usually I pride myself on being able to take a damage or take a punch and throw a punch, walk through it. I could not walk through his punches.
Is it safe to say that he is the toughest hitter you faced today, and perhaps the toughest opponent too that you faced so far in your career?
Oh yeah, by far. When I was preparing for my fight for AJ, I was like, all I was thinking of is he's not going to hit harder than RJ, so I'm going to be good.
For sure, but good to have that experience under your belt. Now you know that perhaps nobody's going to hit as hard as he did. And many things stick out when rewatching this fight. First, like the pressure of RJ Harris. He was constantly walking forward, constantly putting you up against the fence. Is that what you were expecting going in there with him?
Yeah, I mean, the plan was to initiate like a bullfight. We both go head on and then make him chase me. But plans changing, get punched in the face. Once he cracked me, I kind of just started using the fence to keep myself standing and just brawled. But the original plan wasn't to brawl because he's so fucking big, hits so hard. I definitely didn't want to brawl with him. I was faster. I wanted to wear out his cardio, but he just ended on me and I couldn't get mine going.
The head kick in the second round that actually connected with RJ's throat, it looked like. What happened in that moment? And is that actually a legal strike because it connected with the throat technically and not the head?
What I've been told, the head strike is from the throat up, so it was illegal. And I went to throw a leg kick, missed, saw he was about to bum rush me, and with the position I was in, he would have knocked my ass out. So I threw my leg up to aim for the chest, because with him being fucking 6'6", I didn't expect it to go up to his throat. I just threw it as high as I can get 'cause I'm not really the most flexible person. I just happened to hit upper chest, slid up into his neck.
Were you worried when the fight was stopped there that it wouldn't continue, that it would have been finished there by DQ?
Honestly, my mindset right there was just I just felt bad. Like I wasn't really worried about the fight ending. It was more or less just me looking like a dirty fighter. I didn't want people thinking I was throwing an illegal shot.
I know this might be silly to ask in hindsight, but does it give you any confidence knowing that if this was a pro fight between the two of you, you likely would have won with that kick in the second round?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, that's a kick that I could probably use in the professionals because it's a kick that I like throwing leg kicks. And if I happen to miss it and they come at me, I know I'm flexible enough to hit someone who's 6'6", or someone who's 6', 6'2", 6'3". That's probably gonna be a kick straight to the jaw.
Are you surprised that some of the shots you landed didn't knock down RJ or weren't enough to finish the fight? You landed some serious shots of your own through those 3 rounds.
Yeah, but I know I also got a clip sent to me where I threw like a left hook, right hook, and actually knocked him out. Like you see him face plant against the cage, but I was keeping my hands up where I couldn't see shit. I thought he was just pressuring forward on me again. So I grabbed him and tried to go for a takedown. And then he ended up coming to and taking me down. And I was at the end of the second round, I believe. So, like, I mean, that's what pisses me off the most is like if I was just wasn't afraid of his power so much and kept my hands a little bit lower where I can see him, I probably would have won the fight.
You're as engaged in the Ohio MMA scene as anyone, so do you feel like your fight against RJ Harris will win yet another Ohio Amateur Fight of the Year for you?
I hope so. I think so. I mean, heavyweights heavyweights is everyone's favorite fight typically, as long as they actually put on a fight rather than just stare at each other. And then it seems like every time my fight posters come up, a lot of people like it and share it, so it's pretty popular. RJ himself has a lot of fans. So I think the fact that we both have big fan bases and it was a heavyweight fight and it was a war for 3 rounds, I think I'm pretty good chance of it winning Fight of the Year.
It would be your second time winning the award, like I mentioned. Unfortunately, you would be on the wrong side of both of those fights. Is that hard to balance mentally, or are you at a point where you actually do take a lot of pride in that?
I take pride in it because like I obviously want to go pro. I'm too old to like be in the UFC or anything like super great. So yeah, like the fact that once I started training, my only 2 losses have been Fight of the Years, which I think my first fight against Matt Beal, I do think I won. RJ fight, I think I was losing all 3 rounds. It was back and forth, but clearly he was winning. But just the fact that I was able to withstand his punches and put on a good, entertaining fight, moral victory. Because at the end of the day, as much as I would like to win, it's more about putting on a show for me. Just because like this is a hobby for me. I do it like I mentioned in the interview before. Like I like doing it for like an ego. I like the attention I get from it. I don't do anything crazy in my life, so like, this is the only thing that really gives me attention. So I like it. So even if I'm losing, as long as it's a show everyone can enjoy and they can share it and post about it, I'm cool with it.
And that was one hell of a show that you put on at Cage Slayer 27 against RJ Harris. That loss snapped a 3-fight win streak for you. What would you say that you actually learned most from that fight and that experience against someone like RJ?
Definitely learned that I shouldn't keep my hands as high up because I was keeping my hands way too high up. I couldn't see some of his punches coming. I could see his feet, so I knew where he was to throw back. I couldn't necessarily see what was coming at me to dodge. So trying to use my movement a little bit more and keep my hands a little bit lower, which I think I did pretty well in with the AJ fight. I moved a little bit more when he threw. I didn't just cover up and stand still.
You kind of already mentioned it, but is that a fight that you would like to get back one day, to have a rematch as pro fighters, Undead Jeremy Riley versus RJ Harris?
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty fun. I'm now, like I've mentioned earlier, I don't want to do like pro debut or second pro fight. Like that was a lot of damage. So fighting someone like that, I think I'd want to do for like maybe a Cage Thunder title as a pro.
Is that something that you're aware of, especially as a heavyweight fighter and as a showman? With throughout your amateur career, you put on so many shows, but along with that comes damage. Are you aware of that now as you enter the pro ranks of just how much damage you are taking in your career?
Yeah, I mean, typically I don't spar. I spar when I'm like in a fight camp. Outside of that, I don't spar because I take enough damage in my fights. After the RJ fight, I didn't train for a month because I wanted to make sure I was taking no unnecessary damage. Which with RJ, he fought like I think a month after us, and he ended up being knocked out. And I think it was in part to do he probably fought too soon. So I'm very aware that after every fight, I take a few weeks off and try not to fight too soon if I take too much damage. Like the RJ fight, I didn't train for a month. Then I trained for like 2-3 months until the AJ fight. If I didn't take any damage, I probably would have fought sooner like he did. But I'm very aware of the damage, especially with my fighting style. Like I don't like I'm willing to take the brain damage. Just we all know the risk, but I also don't want to just spar every day and fight like I do and end up getting CTE by the time I'm 35.
Talking with Undead Jeremy Riley here on Forged in Ohio. Before we get to your latest win against AJ Jones, something important happened between fights for you. Victory MMA, the new home of Undead Jeremy Riley. I know you've been asked about this before, but can you talk about the decision to change gyms?
Yeah, at Apex, there was just no consistent heavyweights. The biggest dude I had to work with that was in there every day was Jack Shaw. He was like 170 pounds, which I feel helps with my speed and reflexes. I feel like that's why I'm probably faster than most heavyweights because I'm getting tagged by little dudes every day. But after the RJ fight, like he was so strong and so heavy, I wasn't used to that. I was like, I need to go somewhere where I can work with heavyweights. So I decided to go to Victory so I can work with Foster and James Dennis. And it turns out there's actually more than the two of them. There's like 5-6 heavyweights that go there. And it's been pretty damn good work. And they're a ground heavy gym, which is where I like have the least amount of experience in is my wrestling and jiu-jitsu. They're ground heavy, so it's been helping me quite a bit.
You had been with Apex for about 3 years, I think. So what was that adjustment period like for you? Was it difficult getting into a new routine with a new gym, or was it perhaps easier than you thought?
Well, I fought Foster and Dennis from both Victory. Victory's been pretty cool with me since the Foster fight, so I've known damn near all of them. So transitioning in that sense, it didn't feel weird because I already knew everyone. The hardest part, honestly, was the schedule. Like going from a 7:30 schedule, which works perfectly with my work schedule. I get off at 7:30, to now switching to a gym that starts around 6:30. I have to use vacation time every day to be able to get there. So, I mean, that's really the hardest thing. Other than that, the transition's pretty easy just because I already knew everyone there.
And now that you've been at Victory for a few months, getting in work with 5 to 6 heavyweights, like you said, have you noticed new developments in your game?
Oh yeah, I think my takedown defense has gotten a little better, but just my sweeps, being able to get up, has gotten much better. I honestly feel like with the gym I'm at now, if this version of me was to fight RJ, probably go a different way because I'm now used to that power, used to the weight, and just used to someone having that much strength.
Last question on the new gym, but with the fight, and I know the finish came in the first round, but did anything feel different on fight day and having a new corner as you represented Victory for the first time?
Preparing for the fight, I mean, I had a lot of wrestlers working with me, so I was confident in my takedown defense. That was the biggest thing, is going in there with some confidence against someone who's a wrestler. As far as being in the corner, I typically don't hear the corners. Like I don't even hear the crowd. Like I watched the knockout. And I didn't notice the crowd until afterwards. So when I'm in there, it doesn't feel much different with the corners, but the preparation leading to it was much different. I was able to prepare against heavyweights and heavyweights that can wrestle and grapple. So confidence going into the fight was definitely different than it would have been.
The fight itself against AJ Jones, who had an insane amount of experience in combat sports. You mentioned the wrestling, but also in kickboxing too for AJ. What did you think of your opponent going into that October 5th date?
I was definitely worried. Like I definitely thought he was the better fighter. I still think so. I just have weight and I have power. That's all it really was because he was tagging me with those kicks. His jab broke my nose. I couldn't see his jab or his kicks coming. But I also knew he was a D1 wrestler, which is why if you notice in the fight, I was throwing a lot of uppercuts because I just wanted him to know if he's going to shoot on me, he's going to be a shot. And then I noticed when he likes to throw his punches in his other fights, the little clips I've seen, he's open for a left hook. So I was spamming left hook and uppercut quite a bit in that fight because either he's going to go for a takedown or get opened up for a left hook, which is actually what finished the fight or started the finish of the fight.
For sure. And you mentioned those leg kicks. How aware of AJ's leg kicks were you going in? And did those affect you at all before you finished the fight in the first round? Because he had landed quite a couple of them.
I was definitely aware of him. I've seen his fights. I know he had 2 fights that finished basically leg kick KOs in MMA. So I knew they were coming. I thought I'd be fast enough to check him. Wasn't. But I was able to flex my foot, put my weight on my lead foot. So when he hit them, it didn't hurt as bad. I know listening to the commentary, everyone's like, oh, he's stance switching. He must be feeling the pain. But like I stance switch pretty often in my fights. And the leg kicks weren't nearly as bad as the James Dennis fight, where I was eating his kicks 100% to land a punch. These ones, I was kind of flexed. I was prepared for the punch, for the kick. So it wasn't actually that bad.
It looked like it was that left hand that initially stunned AJ, then a right hand that put him down. Can you walk me through that finishing sequence in the first round?
Well, it was a left hook. And at first, I thought he was faking being injured because I didn't even feel the connection. It's just a quick left hook. He stumbled back. In my mind, I'm like, he's faking it. He's going to go for a shot, which is why I went with the lead uppercut in case he went for a shot, then straight right, which is actually my favorite combo. And then I thought the fight was done then, but the ref didn't want to stop it, so I just landed 7 seconds of punches until it finally ended it.
Is that something that you've seen before, maybe in previous fights, but in general in Ohio MMA, just guys pretending to be stunned like that just to cause a reaction?
Honestly, I don't think I've really seen it much. It's just knowing he's a D1 wrestler. Like he placed in state, I think 5th and 6th place, like junior and senior year of high school. Went to Kent State, and me outweighing him and possibly having more power than him. My mindset was thinking he's definitely gonna want to take it to the ground. I know his coach definitely wanted him to take it to the ground. So I'm very paranoid about this stuff. I feel like his best advantage was definitely on the ground. On the feet, yes, he's better, but with 30 pounds of weight, one punch could end the fight like it did. So I had to make sure I kept it standing. So that's why I was like, he must be faking it because I just didn't feel it. So my paranoia just kicked in. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna throw a lead uppercut straight right, which my favorite combo anyways. I throw it quite often.
Yeah, I was really impressed by the patience you showed in that moment to not rush the finish once AJ showed that pretty bad body language after that left hook landed. How important is that generally in a fight, just to let the knockout come naturally rather than forcing something that might not be there?
Well, if you rush it and they throw a counter right or overhand, they're hurt. Their mind thinks their mind and body thinks they're dying. They're throwing everything they can in that last shot that's coming at you. If you rush it, you're getting knocked out. Or if you just run at them standing straight, throwing punches, you're getting taken down. So I think patience is pretty important. But you also can't be too patient. You see a lot of fights where the person has them rocked and is too patient, and then the person recovers, or they rush too much. So you got to kind of find the in-between.
How does that highlight knockout rank among all the highlights that you accumulated through your amateur career?
I think my favorite, it was probably the first fight where after I won, I was genuinely smiling, fucking happy. Because going into that fight, I legitimately gave it 50-50. He is the better fighter. I'm bigger, I'm stronger. I'm pretty quick for my size, so I can knock him out. So when I won in the first round pretty early, it made it seem like it was, I was just pumped because I just knew going into that fight, my mindset was if I get dog walked, I'll probably be done. I'm not ready for the next level. If I put on a really good fight or I win, I'll probably go pro. So when I got the highlight knockout, I was just super excited and just running around smiling, which I think is the first time I've ever actually smiled immediately after a fight.
Wow, so there was actually a chance that that would have been your last fight if it didn't go your way.
Yeah,
Man.
because it's hard. It's hard to be able to train. Like, I work 12 hours a day. It is damn hard to make it into training. So I've been waking up at 5 in the morning doing cardio, and then I lift, go to work, then go to Victory. And if that wasn't enough to kind of start putting me in the right direction for the next level, I was like, what's the point of that? Because I see people who are like 0-5, 0-6, 1-7. They're people that keep fighting and losing. And like, what's the point of that? It's unnecessary brain damage and honestly embarrassing. I wouldn't want to bring my girlfriend to a fucking fight where I know I'm going to lose.
Yeah, I totally understand that, man. Is it, you hear all the time, especially at the high level, of guys going in for their quote unquote retirement fight and the mindset going into that, knowing going in that if you did lose, that it would have been your last rodeo. Did that affect your mindset at all going into this one? And how did that differ from previous Jamie Riley fights?
I don't think it affected anything. I definitely had the mindset, though, if I'm starting to lose, I'm going to go balls to the wall. This is my last fight. But I still prepared for it like it was any other fight, trained just as hard, if not harder. So I don't think it really affected anything. It's just I knew, like, if we get in the third round and I've been losing the first two, I'll probably just start throwing haymakers, overhands, whatever I can to get a knockout.
Once again, this is Undead Jeremy Riley here on Forged in Ohio. Well, you're already booked for your pro debut at Cage Thunder 29 Hall of Fame fights. Was the plan to always, turn pro after the win against AJ Jones last month?
Yeah, it was either go pro or take on a stud amateur. But there's not many amateurs left in Ohio that haven't fought. In the top 5, there's Charlie Cleveland, RJ, Adrian. Can't remember who else it is, but he's fighting RJ. And it's like RJ and the dude are fighting. Adrian, I think, is injured. And Charlie, I've been scheduled to fight before, and he pulled out for injury. And plus, he's 3-0. He's only 3-0 against 3 people with losing records. So there wasn't many options left to fight. So I was like, fuck it. I want to go pro. I will say I didn't want a toughest pro debut fight because it's hard to train right now. It was like, I'll take on damn near anyone, just not someone who's like 2-0, 3-0, which would be my usual mindset. If I was like starting next year when I'm training full time, I'll take on whoever at pro. Like I don't care if they're 2-0, 3-0. I love fighting. For right now, I just want to take it easy, ease my way into it, and see how far I can get.
When you reflect on your amateur career where you went 5-4 with 5 knockout wins, where you were widely considered the most must-see amateur fighter in the States, are you happy with what you accomplished as an amateur?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wish I could have won the Matt Beal and RJ fight. Would have been much cooler being like 7-2 going into pro, but honestly, yeah. I mean, my fights were always exciting. Win or lose, even the debut fight with Foster when I wasn't really even training, I was just a street fighter. Like everyone said it was fight of the night. My second fight before I broke my leg, I was winning the fight, doing pretty good. Third fight, quick submission. Fourth fight, deal. And then from there, I got 3 knockouts in a row. And then the fight of the year with RJ, and then knockout of the night, and maybe even KO of the year contender for the AJ fight. So yeah, I mean, I've done damn near everything. Submission wins, knockout wins, gone to decisions, all while being exciting. So
do you feel like the challenges you took as an amateur fighter and your willingness to take on really any opponent have prepared you for the pro career that starts at Cage Thunder 29?
Yeah, like I definitely never wanted to fight anyone that was considered a bum because it's like I may have fought some people who may have been not the top competition, but that's because original fights fell out. Like I want to be ready to fight when I go pro. I know damn well I'm not going to the UFC, but I still know pro is a much different monster than amateur, so I want to be ready.
And when looking at the time frame to make that pro debut, I know you weren't on the Canton Civic Center card last year when Cage Thunder went there for the first time. So how excited are you this year to fight at a venue like the Civic Center?
I've never seen this. I don't know what it's like. I just know it's going to be very popular, very crowded. So I'm looking to try and get a highlight knockout and start building my name for pros.
Of course, man. So on December 21st, you'll make that pro debut against Will Myers. What do you think of your opponent for the pro debut?
We're friends on Facebook. Seems like a nice guy. Kind of just takes fights for people who can't find fights. Like me, there was like 3 pro fighters that declined to fight me. So he was willing to step up. I mean, his record is like 0-5, so not the toughest competition, but you got to give him balls for taking the fight.
Yeah, you mentioned his record there, but he also has a lot of boxing experience. I'm not sure if that record is all that great either, but when you're fighting a guy with as much boxing experience as Will Myers has, does it compel you to lean towards your wrestling and ground game, or are we in store for, what we usually see when you step in there, a stand and bang affair?
Well, you're definitely going to get the usual Jeremy. I'm going to go out there first round. I'm going to aim for a first round knockout. Even though he has boxing experience, I think my hands are better, faster. I'm stronger. I'm in better shape. I have kicks. So definitely going to aim for first round sub 1 minute knockout. Just balls to the wall, but still going to be smart. I'm not going to go out there and try to style on the dude and get caught by an overhand. And that just looked fucking embarrassing.
Is that what fans can expect to see when Undead Jeremy Riley makes his pro MMA debut on December 21st, a first-round knockout?
Damn right. First round knockout, and not just pro debut. Every fight after that.
Maybe we see that head kick actually lead to a knockout in the pro debut?
I don't know. I think I want to go with the knee. I want to go with the knee to the head. I'm still working on getting flexible with the kicks. So I don't want to worry about them catching it. But I'll definitely working on the head kicks for later on.
All right, sounds good, man. Last one for you. What does the ceiling look like for you as a pro mixed martial artist?
Honestly, it all depends how everything goes. Because right now, we all know UFC's heavyweights aren't the greatest. Dana White Contender Series heavyweights aren't the greatest. If I can rattle off 4 quick wins by August, there's a chance I can get on the Dana White Contender Series. And even though I am not UFC level talent, I have a chin, I put on a show, and that's what they're looking for. So I think there is a chance I could possibly make it to Dana White Contender Series as long as I keep putting in the effort to get there.
Is that kind of what motivates you right now as you are a month or so away from the pro debut and what seems to be a very active 2025 that you have planned?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't plan to be a high-level UFC fighter or anything, but to make it to the Dana White Contender Series, maybe even make it onto UFC for a fight night, would be pretty damn amazing. And this will be my 6th fight this year, so I'm hoping to aim for maybe about the same next year because I want to rattle off quick 4 wins by August because that's when they start doing Dana White Contender Series. You need at least 3 wins, so there's first win to get me started heading into 2025. Hopefully take on some steeper competition and earn my way into Dana White Contender Series.
Man, I would love to see you compete on that stage. And before we wrap up, just anything you want to shout out here at the back end of the podcast, I'll give you this opportunity here, man.
I want to shout out Victory. I mean, they took me in from maybe not a rival gym, but I fought 2 other fighters. So them willingly taking me in and helping me train, I got to give a shout out to them. And if my fiance is listening, I give a shout out to Mattia Marks.
Yeah, congrats, man. Thanks again, Jeremy, for joining me on the show. It's truly been a pleasure to follow your amateur career, and I can't wait to be on the call for your pro debut in December. Before I let you go, it's time for the OHIO chant that I do to end every episode. So, OH...
I-O.
Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate the time. Congrats on ending your amateur career with such a big and highlight win, and I can't wait to see how the pro career unfolds.
Thank you.
That was Undead Jeremy Riley, the 5-4 amateur mixed martial artist, but not for long, as one of the most anticipated pro debuts in Ohio MMA takes place on December 21st. The stage is set. It will be Undead Jeremy Riley versus Will Myers at Cage Thunder 29 Hall of Fame fights from the Canton Civic Center. I hope you enjoyed hearing Undead Jeremy Riley for the second time here on Forged in Ohio. If you did and you happen to be watching this episode, I ask that you leave the video a like and please subscribe to the Forged in Ohio YouTube channel. If you're on the audio side, you can find episodes of Forged in Ohio on all podcast platforms, so make sure you're following the feed and downloading episodes. And of course, you can find the show on both Instagram and Facebook at Forged in Ohio. Thank you all for watching or tuning in. As always, I've been your host, Jake Murren, and this was Forged in Ohio.